my goodness, there is so much going on in the ads space. So let's chat about all of this. If you're catching this in the replay, still say hi. You know I like it when you drop your comments, and I know I love to see who's caught this, and I want you to join the discussion. So if you have any input on today, on all the things we're about to chat about, please drop your comments in, and I will do my best. All right, so what are we talking about today? I need to chat. I just need to get this out. There have been so many questions coming in about the changes, the upcoming changes with Facebook and Apple's iOS 14 privacy updates as it pertains to apps. So there's lots of chatter going on with that. I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to explain what the heck the pixel is, what the pixel events are, what the privacy changes mean to ads and tracking, how that's going to impact costs for advertisers, how it's going to impact small businesses, how Facebook and Apple are kind of duking it out right now in a very public manner. And then we're going to dig a little bit deeper behind the scenes on what that means for standard events, custom conversions, what those things mean, how to make sense of all of it, and any actions that you need to take as an advertiser. This is a super casual discussion. I'm just getting this out of my brain, and I don't really write, I don't blog. So rather than blog, this is my way of getting it out of my head and out here. And if you have questions, drop them in, of course. And then after that, I'm going to take you for a little behind the scenes tour of the TikTok advertising platform, because guess who got access today? Mwah! Yours truly. So I applied a little while back. Actually, I think it's been a couple months ago that I applied for access to the TikTok advertising platform. And it wasn't available in Canada at the time. So I got my little invite notification today. I got in, I got behind the scenes, and quite honestly, it looks a lot like Facebook's advertising platform, which is very interesting to me. So it has the same kind of setup from creating a campaign and creating like an ad set, and then the actual ads and all the different levels of where you control what's what. So that's interesting. So I will be taking you in behind the scenes after that. So let's do this. I can see people are jumping on live. If someone wants to throw me a comment, I want to see if I can pull your comments up, because I am doing this a little bit differently than I normally do. So feel free to drop comments. I'm just going to double check the stream and everything on my end. There. Okay. I'll keep an eye for comments. All right. So let's pick this apart, shall we? Let us start with what is happening between Facebook and iOS 14. So iOS is an Apple operating system. So it runs on iPhone devices, on iPads, on basically any mobile device owned and operated by Apple. So Apple rolls out updates to their iOS system all of the time. So we get lots of updates pushed to us. That's how our apps get updated. We've got Mark here. Oh, good. This is great. Oh, Ontario. Oh. I hope the snow isn't too bad. Aw, thank you so much, Tina. I appreciate that a lot. So these updates that are happening with iOS 14, Apple rolls out updates all the time. That's why our apps get refreshed all of the time, new features get pushed out, and there's always constant changes happening. But this change, unfortunately, is going to cause a little bit of a ripple effect in the Facebook advertising community. What this change is, let me pull up a screenshot here, or a sample. This is not an actual screenshot. This is a potential sample of what it could look like. So when you open an app, when you're operating different apps, when all of the rollouts happen with iOS 14, Apple's going to be asking you permission asking you if you want to give permission to different apps to be accessing basically ad tracking. So this is a feature that has kind of always been there, but it's been a little bit buried behind the scenes, and you had to dig for it to go and find it. Well, now Apple is kind of changing things up, and they're taking that little feature and they're throwing it right front and center for you. So you, as a user, when you go to use an app, Apple's going to check with you and say, hey, do you want to allow Facebook to track you? And you can ask the app not to track, so you can opt out. So basically, it's like saying, you know what, I don't really want to be followed by all of your advertising. I want to opt out. Now, before I go too much further into this, I really want to be clear. This is not going to reduce the amount of advertising that you're getting from Facebook. No. This is going to reduce the amount of customized and tailored advertising that you're already receiving from Facebook. And it's not just on Facebook, it's across Facebook's suite of apps, all of the different advertising placements that Facebook has at their fingertips, which is more than just on the Facebook platform. Facebook, Instagram, there's the Audience Network, so a whole suite of apps that are all accessible by Apple devices. So what it's going to do is if everyone en masse starts opting out of tracking from different apps, then what you're still going to be getting delivered ads. The same volume of ad inventory is still going to hit your cell phone. It's now just going to be completely random. So for example, for myself personally, I am not a parent and I don't search sites for parenting tips or children anything, but because I am a woman between a certain age, if I turn app tracking off and if I don't use any kind of tailored custom advertising tracking, what ends up happening is I'll start getting ads for baby formula or ads for all sorts of things that they just don't pertain to me. It's not relevant to me. So having a customized user experience to me is extremely important. I like having ads that come across my newsfeed or in my entire browsing experience that are relevant for me. So for me, for example, it's going to be a lot of tech and gadgets and geek out stuff, and I love that. I love that. So, but that's me personally. There's a question coming in here. Who's going to educate the general public about this feature and how it works? And that's basically always been there. That's kind of what we're working through right now, is sort of teasing out what this means for everybody. So we don't actually know yet because this hasn't fully rolled out yet. So Facebook can't react to it yet. But let's get into what this is actually going to do to all of us. So tailored advertising is not a terrible thing. Everyone thinks if you just click that, ask the app not to track, they're not going to track you, they're not going to serve you ads. Wrong. You're still going to get the same volume of ads. It's just going to be a hot mess and you're not going to love it. Anyhow, but what I would like to see is I would like to see us have more transparency and limitation on how much data we're handing over to each app. So experts are saying that this rollout to iOS 14 is going to more heavily impact Facebook and Snap compared to other advertising platforms like Google. And it can, from what I've been reading so far, it's looking like it could impact Facebook ad revenues by 3%. That's an initial, that's not a hard firm number or anything of that nature, but this can impact their advertising revenues. So let's break this down. If you're ready to dive in, I'm ready to dive in. Let's do this. Okay. So first and foremost, I pulled up some stats. Let me scooch myself. Okay. So I pulled up some stats from advertising campaigns that I am involved with. And this is a look at stats from 2020. So if you can see here, we have, as far as iPhone devices, this is Facebook ads being delivered to these different devices. So iPhone devices, 4 million people reached, $100,000 spent. Android smartphones, 5 million people reached, so even more people reached at $85,000 spent. That's a lot less. So it's a lot cheaper to reach, it's so much cheaper to reach an Android user, more expensive to reach an Apple user. That's interesting in itself. Now, if people start turning off all of their tracking, it's not to say that iPhones are going to get less ads. It's that the ability to target the right people. So if I look at this number up here, that $100,000 that was spent on reaching iPhone users, that $100,000 is spread among 4 million people, but that 4 million are a hyper-targeted group of people. So it's they're relevant people. So if I am targeting people based on their interest in, coming up with something off the top of my head, I don't know, going to the zoo. If I'm targeting 4 million people who are interested in going to the zoo and I've spent $100,000 to reach them, great. Now, if we fast forward to 2021 and all of this, if people are opting out of tracking left and right off of their different apps, then that may be $100,000 spent on 4 million people, and only maybe 100,000 of them are interested in zoos, and the rest are just a mixed bag of Facebook just trying to put the ad in front of everybody, meaning less people are going to be clicking because it's less relevant, meaning it's going to cost more to get in front of the same people, you're going to get fewer click-throughs, your ad costs are going to rise, your results are going to go down. Advertisers are not going to keep spending the same money they've been spending on Facebook ads for the lack of results and the lack of transparency. All right, so let's break this down even more. What does this mean? So when you are doing Facebook advertising, there's lots of different ways that we can track users, or track the user experience, I should say, and then we can retarget people based on their behaviors, based on how they're interacting and engaging with their content. How it works is you take a small little snippet of tracking code from Facebook and you go on over to your website and you install it. Actually, let's flip down to what that looks like. You get a little tiny code. It's like a little paragraph of code. You copy that and you go and put it into the header of your website. You can put this on your own website. You can put this on I have it on my Calendly page. When people go to book a calendar invite with me, I can track events with my Facebook Pixel. You can put it on, if you have landing pages, subdomains, basically anywhere that you own access to that is off of the Facebook experience. So if it's not somebody scrolling through their Facebook newsfeed and they go off of Facebook, but we still want to track what the user does once they leave Facebook, you have to have that tracking pixel, that little beautiful little snippet of code right there installed on that website so that Facebook has visibility to what they're doing while they're on the site. And Facebook sends that data back to Facebook to inform your audiences, so audiences of people who've been to your website, for example, and their behaviors while they were on your website. And then as an advertiser, you can say to Facebook, hey, go and find me more people who downloaded this brochure. Or go and find me more people similar to the people who signed up for this webinar, or more people similar to the people who made a purchase. So you take that little snippet of code, you wander on over and you install it on your website. This is an example of installing it on WordPress. WordPress has a plugin, a Facebook Pixel plugin. You don't need to install the whole entire paragraph of code. In this case, it's just your Pixel ID. So you get that when you generate your pixel. Notice how at the top they give you just a pixel ID, as well as they give you the whole code if you need to do it the old school way. So that's how Facebook gets visibility to all of these sites. If if people are opting out of the iOS tracking for these third-party apps, then what's going to happen is Facebook loses the ability to see these users from an iOS device going to these websites. So if we're losing the ability to see that traffic, we're losing the ability to see what they're doing while they're on the site. In addition to that, to respond to this, Facebook is now going to have to make some limitations, which I'll get into. And just some of these comments here. I think we won't see too many people opted out of tracking. So many complain yet never actually go in and do it. It's interesting that you say that. You're right up until this point. People have not proactively gone digging into their phones to find these features to opt out. The difference is with the iOS 14 update, with the app privacy rollout that they're doing, these notifications are going to be front and center. They're going to pop up. So a user is going to be presented with the choice. Do I want the tracking? Do I not want the tracking? Before, this was buried. Now Apple is bringing it front and center saying, hey, yay, Facebook wants to track you. You cool with that? Yeah? No? No? Click the button and opt out. And so this is what's causing like the big fight between Facebook and Apple. Facebook is basically like, Apple, yo, what are you doing? There's no need for you to cause such a ripple effect in all of our advertising and tracking and revenues. And Apple's like, yeah, well, there's no need for you to track everybody. So it's not a level playing field. Apple is taking like all of the data and going off and playing with it in their own sandbox and not sharing it with everybody else. So it's interesting to see how this is coming about. Mark is saying, what's the difference between using the Facebook Pixel plugin on WordPress and just adding the code to your site head? No difference. No difference. The plugin is more like it's injecting it for you. If you're just taking the base code and putting that into the header of your website, you're just doing it the raw, regular way, the old school way. There's no difference. As long as that code is living on your site, in the header of your site, so that when you go, it doesn't matter what page you go to, that little pixel tracking code is existing. If you want to test that, if you want to know if your pixel code is on your website, you can download the Chrome Facebook Pixel Helper plugin. That's something you'll want to check out to know. And this is Evie. Evie, why does Ecamm not like you when you're? Oh, I wish I could pull you up. Yeah, throw your name on here so I know it's you when you're commenting, Evie. Love you, girl. All right, so let's keep this conversation rolling on these implications. All right, so now we understand that Apple is going to be limiting what Facebook can track, or users can opt out of having Facebook track them. That in itself is going to have a massive impact on audience sizes and on advertisers' ability to track how well their ads are working. In addition to this, Facebook is also making some changes into what pixel events we can track. Well, not really what pixel events, how many pixel events we can track. So now that I've explained to you what the pixel is, tiny little snippet of code, lives in the header of your website, helps give visibility when people leave Facebook and go to an external website, then Facebook can still see them and track their user behavior. Let's talk about these user behaviors here. So these are examples of standard events that sort of like pre-programmed out of the box. If you just want to install the pixel on your website and have Facebook go and track some of these things, these are the standard events that Facebook could potentially be tracking on your website if you've enabled them in certain areas. So for example, there's add payment info, add to cart, add to wish list, complete registration. You get the idea. Somebody becomes a lead. They've actually purchased. They've scheduled. They've started a trial. They've submitted an application. So these are all of these different events that could take place on a site external of Facebook that Facebook can then track and send that data back into Facebook and help inform your ads. So what you could do as an advertiser, you could say, you know what? I want to find more people who are going to make a purchase on my site. So I go look at all the people who have purchased. Say I had 100 people purchase on my site in the last week. I might say, when I'm creating my ads, I might go to Facebook and say, hey, Facebook, can you please go and find me and optimize these ads and find even more people who are most likely to take this particular action of a purchase. Now, if you don't have enough people making a purchase, if you have less than 50 people in a week that are making a purchase for that event, then you don't have a high enough volume of data. It's not very, very wise to be optimizing for purchases if you can't achieve that volume. So instead, you might back it up a second and say, okay, I don't have enough people actually purchasing, but I do have more people adding to cart. So you know what, Facebook? Can you go and optimize my ads for find more people who are going to add this item to cart, go and target them. There's all sorts of different ways we can use these standard events, but they also come in really handy for creating yourself a funnel and tracking a user experience and the volumes of people who go through these different stages. So you as an advertiser can better calculate your ad costs and your strategy behind it. For example, if I know that, let's say for somebody subscribing to my email newsletter cost me, say, $1 per email in general for me. And then once they've subscribed, then some of them might schedule a call with me. And then from there, some of them might become a lead for one of my programs. Then from there, they might add an item to cart. And then from there, they might check out and purchase. So there's a whole user journey. I can create a funnel. I can work out the ad costs on how much it costs me, how many ad impressions I need to get for my target audience to get them to move from subscribing to my email list all the way into making a purchase. Now, if you'll notice here, there are 17 standard events that we're looking at right now. Part of these changes is that Facebook is going to now be limiting this to 8 events that we can track. Not only 8 events with standard events, but also custom conversions. Okay, not to get too complex, I'm going to break this down for you. I'm just going to answer this question right here. How do you enable these events on your website? Thanks. Facebook has an automatic setup tool that you can use when you're installing your pixel. You can also go back into your events manager in Facebook and go and make some edits and access your event setup tool in there. There's manual ways to do it. If you really want to dig deep in this, I'm teaching this actually tomorrow in the Swift Kick in the Ads membership. So if you're not a member yet and you want to get more training, more in-depth training on the actual how-tos, we're going to be popping the hood and diving all into pixels tomorrow in the Swift Kick in the Ads membership. Go to swiftkickintheads.com to check that out. But all right, back to iOS and Facebook limiting standard events and custom conversions to only 8. So let's point this out again. There are 17 right here. Okay, those are standard events. They come pre-programmed out of the box. You can pick and choose these, set them up on your website, a la carte, away you go. But if you have different conversions that you want to track that don't really fit what these are and you want to track, say, a little bit deeper, a little bit different, or you want to track based on a thank you URL, for example, then Facebook has this thing called custom conversions. So if I pop down here, I can set up tracking to track any URL and say, you know what, Facebook, if somebody goes to this URL, or in this case, this example here, any of my URLs that contain webinar-thank-you. If my URL, say somebody signs up for a webinar and then they get to the confirmation page, and the confirmation page in the URL itself has webinar-thank-you, then I want to consider that a conversion. I want Facebook to see that as a conversion. I can then tell Facebook what type of standard event I want that to be, and I'm like, yeah, that's a complete registration for me. And I can also go down here and I can say assign a dollar value to it. So assign, that if they're signing up for that webinar, say that webinar was worth $49 when they signed up for it. So I can say it's worth $49, and then when I go and run my ads, and at the very end I can see how much I spent on my ads, how many webinar registrations I had, and I can call it, you can see up there, the name, Swift Kick in the Ads webinar. I'm naming that custom conversion, whatever I want to name it. So Facebook can then, in my reporting, show me how many of those conversions I got, how many dollars I made off of that, and then I can compare that to how much I spent on my ads, and boom, you have a return on ad spend. So you can now see your profit from your Facebook ads, and it's very handy. Now that's called a custom conversion, and custom conversions are anything that has to do with tracking based on a URL. So you can have different conditions. You can have the actual URL itself. You can have the anything, a URL containing different things. You can exclude things. There's all sorts of ways you can set this up, but that's what a custom conversion is. So now Facebook is limiting us to eight standard events or custom conversions, or the mix of the two. Only 8. So that means for all the advertisers who have these beautiful funnels, I'm going to show you what these are things I'm tracking on the Digital Gal. So for me, all of these lovely things I'm tracking how much it costs me and where all of that falls in the funnel for me. I'm going to have to pick and choose only 8 of these. Facebook will be prioritizing they will be rolling out a mechanism shortly in early 2021 is what they're saying, to be able to ask advertisers, hey, out of all these events and all these custom conversions, which of these are most important to you? They're going to ask you to prioritize and pick your 8. And then from there, Facebook will prioritize what gets tracked. And then if you have ad sets that are active, that are tracking more than your 8 that you've chosen per domain, per website essentially, then those ad sets will become inactive. They will not run. So this could potentially impact a lot of advertisers who have really been heavily using standard events, custom conversions, building out their funnels. For the majority of us small business owners and advertisers, this is not going to impact us a lot. If you haven't really been using these features, if you haven't been granularly digging in and tracking to this level, it may not impact you as much. E-commerce advertisers, people who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on Facebook ads, yeah, this is going to have a big impact and a big ripple. This right here that you're looking at, this is an example of what I have in my events manager right now. So I have a blend of standard events and custom conversions. The custom ones are these ones right here. These guys right here, this is for my Calendly. There we are. So all those events, 1, 2, 3, 4, are being tracked from people getting into my Calendly to book a meeting. And then I have down here, I used to have initiate, checkout, lead, opt-in. I used to be using those. They're not active right now, and that's why they're in yellow. And then the green ones are the ones that are active and have had recent activity. So come this rollout, I'm going to have to prioritize and pick and choose what I want to track. And what that really means is I'm probably going to be removing a lot of tracking of my Calendly and just keeping it sort of the more core things that I want to track. So that's going to cause a ripple effect. And I know I've spent a lot of time on these. And let's go. What else do I have in here? Pixel code plugin, standard events, stats, talked about that. And by the way, for the record, if you want to keep up with this, I've created a page, thedigitalgal.com/iOS14. it's bare bones right now. It just has links to some of the articles that really go in depth on this. And I'm going to be elaborating and adding more content to there. So if you need a spot, a resource to go to find what you need, that's going to be a great spot. So now let's talk about how this impacts tracking. So reporting. So, okay, now we're understanding that Apple, let me pull this back up here. There we go. Now we're understanding that Apple is going to be putting control up front and center for users to see when an app wants to be tracking them for advertising purposes, and users will be able to opt out. So if people are flocking off of this and opting out, it's going to be impacting your audience sizes and your reporting. So let's talk quickly about attribution windows. I know I'm throwing a lot of terms out here, but what I'm trying to do is show you how deep this goes and how many components this actually affects in the back end of Facebook, and then break it down and make it simple for you so you can understand exactly what these terms mean. So when we're talking about reporting, Facebook typically, when reporting to an advertiser, hey, here's how your ads performed, here's what worked, here's what didn't work, Facebook could get pretty deep into the reporting. Now, take all Facebook reporting with a grain of salt, of course. If you run Google Analytics and track your website traffic, and then you run Facebook Analytics and you look at your Facebook results, they never match. They never, ever, ever match. That's because you're never comparing apples to apples. One has, it's like trying to translate English into French. French always has more characters. It's a more beautiful language. There's more descriptors. There's such beauty to it, and English just butchers it, and English can't do the same that French can do. You can still say the same, you can still translate a sentence from English into French and vice versa, but it's not a direct one-to-one translation. Same kind of thing happens when it comes to reporting and analyzing any digital interactions. So each platform kind of has their own digital language and how they quantify a click or how they quantify a conversion. So they don't always talk perfectly to each other, but they should kind of, track similarly. You should see trends, and you should see those trends run, in harmony with each other. You shouldn't see any, one go way off the charts. But what this is going to be doing to Facebook's reporting is basically making it irrelevant, not fully irrelevant. It's going to make it a lot more difficult. What we're going to be seeing, let's talk about attribution windows. Until now, Facebook has really been able to track a lot of interactions based on a 28-day view or a 28-day click attribution. Let me explain what that means. So for example, if someone saw your ad and it came across their news feed, they just saw it, they didn't click on it, it just appeared as an impression in their news feed. And within 28 days, if that person then ends up on your website and purchases your product that is related to that ad, then Facebook will put their hand up and say, hey, we're going to attribute that sale to that Facebook ad that we showed them 27 days ago. So you might say, well, hey, the Facebook ad didn't work. It wasn't the Facebook ad, it's our Google ad that got that sale, or it was our salesperson picking up the phone getting that sale. So there are different attribution windows. There are as far as 28 days where Facebook can say they saw that, they got an impression of that in their feed, and then they purchased, so therefore, we got you that. Or you can tighten up those attribution windows down to 7 days of view and 1 day click. So there's you have choice when you're slicing and dicing your data and looking at it on how you want to quantify the results. And if you change your attribution windows, you'll notice all of a sudden you make a really narrow attribution window, like 7 day view, 1 day click. So within 1 day of clicking and purchasing, or 7 days of viewing and then going and purchasing, etc., then your results will be a lot smaller. But then if you have really wide open, generous attribution windows of 28 days, then you'll get a lot more results showing within that window of time attributed to your Facebook ads. It's however you want to slice and dice it. With the changes that are coming, those attribution windows are kind of going away. They're not really going to be as accurate, and you won't be able to slice and dice your data that way. Other changes that are coming with the reporting, how Facebook is going to calculate the cost of a conversion. So when we were talking about all of those standard events, custom conversions, when somebody takes that action, so let me pull up these standard events, for example, When somebody takes one of these actions, like say they become a lead, right there. Say you have something set up on your website where if somebody fills out a certain form, then they become a lead, and then your sales team will go and follow up with that lead. You can work out how much you spent on your Facebook ads, how many leads you got, and what that cost per lead is. Well, in the reporting, when all of this rolls out, Facebook is going to be diluting how they're calculating the cost per lead. It's going to be, they're basically just going to make it that simple. It's taking the spend over a given period of time divided by the conversions over a period of time. So that's not going to be as accurate as in their system now, knowing that, okay, this conversion at this time in this place with this person cost $10 per that conversion. That conversion over there cost X number of dollars per conversion, and then working out your averages. It's not going to be like that. It's just going to be, your reporting is going to get a little more diluted in the end. And I'm just scratching the surface right now on explaining how Facebook is going to be measuring this and how it's going to be impacting how us as advertisers are able to read the results and then act strategically around the results that we see coming in. So right now, up until now, it really has been like the wild, wild west of Facebook ads reporting. We've had a lot of data at our fingertips. We've been able to make a lot of strategic decisions around it. We've been able to build audiences of people based on those behaviors. We've been able to make lookalike audiences of people to go and find similar people to the people who are taking those actions off of Facebook on our websites. That wild, wild west time is kind of coming to a close. And why? It's not for everything. It's just for iOS devices. But again, to highlight this, if it's just iOS devices, look at how many of those, look at how many people are reached, how many dollars are being spent, distributed across iOS versus Android. Like, this is not a small piece of the pie we're talking about. So if that's where the majority of reach and impressions are taking place, then this is going to completely disrupt Facebook's ad system. It's going to completely disrupt our audiences and disrupt our ad costs. It's not necessarily, like I said, let me pull this back up again here. Like I said, it's not necessarily going to mean users are going to see less ads. It's that users are going to be seeing less relevant ads. And us as advertisers, where we previously used to say, okay, I want to make an audience of people who have been to my website, and then I want to retarget them with more specific ads. Well, if I had 1,000 people that went to my website last month, and I want to retarget those 1,000 people, well, once all of this tracking comes into play, and say 50% of these people are iOS users, and the majority of them have opted out, that could cut my website audience size in half. So now I only have 500 people instead of 1,000 people that I can retarget with my ads. And now all the lookalike audiences that are built on those source audiences are going to become less effective. Everything just gets diluted, and it's not going to be nearly as effective. So I, as an advertiser, where I was making good dollars, you could say, off of retargeting my website visitors, well, now I can really only retarget half of those website visitors. And of that half, I can't feed my audiences with new people that are similar because I'm only seeing a small portion. It's basically, it's almost like Facebook's ad system, had like 20/20 vision, and now it's like getting like an eye patch and cut in half. That's basically what it's going to be like. Not ideal. So we don't really know the full implications of what all of this means. We won't know the full implications, and we won't really see, I don't think we're going to see an abrupt, our audience sizes aren't just going to drop off tomorrow, and it's not going to be a complete, frenzy. It's just going to be something that I think, as far as the effectiveness of Facebook's targeting and tracking abilities, we're going to see that go downhill, slowly decay over time. The effectiveness of your ads might start to slow down, which, in all honesty, it's been a hot mess since October. Let's talk about ad rejections. So that's a nice little segue. So we're going to talk about ad rejections now, and then from there, I'm going to leapfrog into showing you behind the scenes on what the TikTok advertising platform looks like. So ad rejections, I've noticed since October, leading up into the election, that the ads network went haywire. All of a sudden, I had a huge influx in calls from clients and from people booking coaching calls because they needed help untangling ad accounts being shut down, or a higher volume of ads being rejected, business manager accounts being shut down. So there's three levels to this. You have your ads themselves. So if you put an ad, if you try to get an ad up and running and it's not compliant with Facebook's ads policies, or it's breaching any of the community policies, then Facebook will reject the ad. So there's certain things you can't sell on Facebook. There's certain things you can't say. You can't imply personal attributes when you're talking. You can't really talk to people necessarily and assume you know things about them. There's a finesse. There's a way of creating your ads and keeping them compliant. Facebook has been really cracking down on that. So a lot of ads are getting rejected. They were getting a little more strict way before the election. But then it got crazy. They tweaked their AI. So all of your ads, when you go to run an ad and it goes through the review system, it's being, the first pass is basically AI. It's not a real human looking at your ads in most cases. And it's like they dialed in something. It's like they tweaked something in the algorithm, but it really screwed up. And there are so many advertisers that are getting ads rejected that are needlessly. And now they do have a mechanism, a system in place where you can appeal the ad. Honestly, I'd say 9 out of 10 ads that get rejected, you just go and hit the appeal button, and then within a few hours, it's reversed. The decision is reversed, and it's back up and running. So that's your ads, the actual ads themselves. If you have too many ads that are getting rejected, and it is your fault, then you can get your advertising privileges pulled. You can either get your ad account shut down altogether. So even if you did have ads that were compliant alongside that, they'll just pull the plug on your whole ad account, meaning you lose access to your pixel data, meaning all of those lovely conversions that you've been tracking over time. You lose access to all of that data and all that information. You'd have to start a new account, start from scratch, and all of those lovely ad dollars that you spent earning all of that information and being able to make more strategic decisions all goes away. So you don't want your ad account shut down. That's bad. So there's the ads themselves that can get rejected. There's the ad account that can get shut down. And then there's also the business manager account. A business manager account, I explain this more like a home security system. Your business manager account is like the access control to all sorts of assets, including different ad accounts if you have more than one ad account, different pages if you have more than one page, different pixels if you have more than one pixel. So if you have a business manager account that's managing multiple pieces, multiple assets, and you get your business manager account shut down, that's catastrophic. Catastrophic to a business such as mine that it operates for multiple clients. If I'm locked out, that means I can't do business, and that's frustrating. And then the final level, the full-blown SOS, the end of the world has finally happened to your Facebook, is when you personally get locked out of Facebook. And yes, that has happened to me this past year. All of this is increasing. And it's happening to legitimate businesses, and it's happening to people who are doing nothing wrong. And it's because of a tweak to the AI and the algorithm that is checking your ads. A lot of this ramped up around the time of the election. So leading October, leading into November, it was just off the charts terrible. And then after the election, things started to relax a little bit, and it's getting a little bit easier. The system is still flagging so many things, but if you follow up with the appeal system, most things are getting reversed. So it's just causing a lot of stress for business owners. We don't need that. We're trying to hand Facebook a whole bunch of money to do our ads, and ad account shutdowns and rejections are really setting advertisers back pretty far. It's not fun. So it's not been a fun landscape at all. So it's been very challenging for anybody working in this industry. It's been extraordinarily challenging on small business owners and small businesses who are spending their hard-earned dollars to try and advertise during a pandemic when they can't necessarily be open with their brick and mortar stores, and they need to find alternate means to reach their customers. And then they're facing illegitimate ad account shutdowns and issues. So that's been stressful to begin with. Now we're layering on top of it iOS making the privacy changes to their apps, and that's going to reduce the ability of small businesses to be able to more effectively spend their ad dollars in a very strategic and wise way to reach the right people who are actually interested in them. And instead, it's going to dilute that. It's going to dilute the audiences and the effectiveness of small business owners' ads. The big players, they will work around this. They've got the budget for it. This really is a situation. I'm not trying to side with Facebook on this. I don't agree with the level of tracking that Facebook has, but with the abruptness of the change that's happening with iOS 14 and the way Facebook has to accommodate that, it's going to hurt the small businesses more at first. So that's the unfortunate part. So small business owners, my heart goes out to you. I have been on video calls with so many people over the past couple months, helping troubleshoot ad accounts that have been shut down and troubleshoot strategies to be able to get back up and running to work around when the decision has not been reversed. So it's been a headache for everybody. I feel for you guys. I really do. All right, so let's change this around. Let's talk about some more fun, shall we? Who wants to check out TikTok with me? Like TikTok advertising. So I just got access today. I am in Canada. Most people I hang out with are from the United States. So most of my friends are in the States, and a lot of my friends have had access to this for a little while, and I haven't yet. So I just got it today. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's go take a drive together. I'm going to screen share and show you behind the scenes after I answer this question. So as social media marketers, what areas should we continue to focus on in terms of social media marketing with all these changes coming? Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Google. What areas should we start to learn more about now rather than later? That is a fantastic question. Let me just pull this up one more time and let's hover here for a sec before we go and look at the TikTok advertising platform. So I not sure if you know me well enough, but I kind of went all in on Facebook. Facebook ads is my thing. It's my jam. My life has been wonderful when it comes to Facebook ads, but the last several months have been, I'm losing sleep at night with the number of people and calls and troubleshooting and issues on Facebook's platform. And I myself was locked out of Facebook altogether only a couple months ago. And I got back in within 24 hours, but it was one of the most stressful things. It's like building how do they say that? It's like building your house on rented land. I've done that. I've built a business on rented land. If Facebook shuts me out tomorrow, I lose all my clients. I lose all my revenue. I don't lose all the skills that I have, though, when it comes to advertising, analytics, algorithms, all that fun jazz. So what I would suggest is, they used to tell us marketers to really niche down. And yes, there is still a lot of value in niching down. And you can't learn every single platform in depth. It's impossible. And if you try, then you're going to be ineffective for everybody, including yourself. So I still do firmly believe that pick a specialty, narrow down, hone in your skills. But I really feel like this is showing me the vulnerability of building a business based on Facebook. And as marketers, I really do think that we need to be open to trying things such as like TikTok advertising, which I'm trying to dig into and play over there and see what there is over there. Looking at apps like TikTok and understanding the inner workings and the popularity of that. Looking at there's Clubhouse, which is a new app. I know it's only iOS right now, and everybody's waiting for invites, but checking that out and starting to grow with these platforms from the ground up. Messenger marketing chatbots. I'm still heavily involved in building messenger marketing chatbots, and I know there have been major changes, major changes in how chatbots operate lately and the functionality of them, what we can and can't do. It's been very frustrating as well, but that industry isn't going away. So that's another one. If you can get into these apps and into these experiences from the ground up, learn and grow with them, whether you need them or not right now. Don't max out your bandwidth on what you can do. I actually personally had to come off of TikTok for a little while. I wasn't really posting, but I was just, I was wasting too much of my time in there, and I wasn't getting value out of it. I wasn't providing value to it, and I wasn't getting value out of it. So I had to stop. I was going way too far down the TikTok rabbit hole. I had to pull back and say, okay, I can't be on this app right now. I'm now starting to layer it back in, but I'm just being more cognizant of my time. Clubhouse is another one. I'm starting to layer it in, but also be cognizant of my time. But by participating in these things now instead of waiting a year, you're ahead of the game at being better able to strategize what your needs are, what your clients' needs are, what your business needs are, and which of these places you can best plug and play in. By ignoring them, I think that you leave yourself more vulnerable. I think we're going to start to see a lot of changes in, it's not all going to be, Facebook ads are not going to be the be all and end all the way that they have been for small business. Right now, they have been the most effective and cost-effective solution. You can go to LinkedIn and get better ads that target the exact job title that you're looking for, but you're going to pay 10 times more for that lead. Whereas if you can work the Facebook ad system at a lower cost, make it work for you, build longer term systems, and retarget your users, it's been quite effective for small business. That's going to be shifting, that's changing. People are desperately looking for other platforms that don't come with as much drama or can bring them more joy and less turmoil. So we're going to start to see, I think, a shifting of people using a lot of different apps and trying a lot of different things, and attention span is just going to kind of be all over the map. So I really highly encourage you to pay attention to these different platforms, pay attention to diversifying your skills incrementally. So don't just go right off the deep end right away and say, you know what, if you're a Pinterest advertiser and you've got all in on Pinterest, don't just abandon that platform and just start learning all of them. No, just be open. It's like learning, I keep making a language reference tonight. It's like learning a new language. Pick one language, start learning it, and just move yourself forward with that. And once you're comfortable with that, pick another language. Start learning that one, move yourself forward with that. But I really think 2021 is going to be the year of everybody kind of diversifying. Everything's different. We've changed how we operate. We've changed our habits. We've changed our business interactions. Everything's changed. So be open to change if you are a marketer, and be open to trying new things. And don't be afraid to try something that you might break. It's okay. If you break it, you don't have to buy it. You can just try different things. But just don't be afraid to stop doing the things you always done and try doing things you've never tried before. That's not the most eloquent way of saying it, but you get the idea. Okay. It's TikTok time. Let's go look at TikTok's ad platform. So I have to wake up some tabs here because they've all gone to sleep on me. And then I'll share my screen here. And we're just going to self-discover together. I haven't gone through this in depth. I just want to take a look at some of the screens and see what they look like and go from there. So first, let's go screen share. Let's go bottom right. All right, you should be able to see my lovely screen right now. Let's just navigate around. So let's go up to the dashboard here. So what I found quite fascinating is that this really it felt like Facebook ads in the way that it's set out. So in my main dashboard here, obviously I just got this today. I haven't spent anything on TikTok ads. But when we go into build a campaign, let's check this out. So I can create a campaign, and let's start over. I had one that I was working on here. And notice how on the left-hand side here, we have campaign, ad group, and ad. It's extremely similar to how we have with Facebook, our Facebook campaigns, ad sets, and ads. And same idea, we get to choose an objective. If you want to use the traffic objective or conversions objective, you need to install a TikTok pixel on your site. And I was playing around with that. I set up a TikTok pixel, and I installed it using Google Tag Manager on thedigitalgal.com. So hopefully so I put the pixel code on, and now it's asking me to choose the scenario that best describes your business goals. And what do I want? I'm not e-commerce, consultation events, custom events, app downloads, form submission events. Custom events, what's this? Series events along the user conversion path. Consultation, different behavior among the user path from browsing information and making a consultation. Let's choose that. Event type, phone consult. No, I don't really want that. Let's say form submission events. Button click, event name. Oh, if there's a value with it. And you can, every time they click or just once. Interesting. What else we got in here? If I do e-commerce, see how similar this is to what we were looking at before with Facebook's events, standard events. So add to cart, initiate checkout, completed payment. This is interesting. Custom events. So this is really, really heavily driven based on dollars and cents, not just getting traffic to a website, but actually having people make a purchase. Cool. App download. Neat. All right. So that's what's in behind the scenes here on setting up the TikTok Pixel. I found that, by the way, going into assets, and I'll show you from this screen over here. Assets and into events. So that's where I was getting the pixel details. So in here, so creating a new campaign. So instead of that, say I just want to get video views. We can name this anything we want. Let's go video views. TDG for the digital gal. I love this. By default, how they have no limit. So your budget for your TikTok ads, no limit. I'm like, yeah, let's put a limit on that. But I like how it might be hard for you to see here. But for options, daily spend or lifetime spend, daily, they want at least $50. And if I go to lifetime, it actually stays at least $50. So if I do $50, I'm sure it'll just run for one day and be done. Interesting. So lifetime, say I wanted $200. And my account, because it just seemed to roll out, it wasn't available for Canadians previously, and I just got the invite today for this. So I was able to set up my account with Canadian dollars. Yay! Continue. All right, now we've got some settings. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but I'm just showing you how similar this feels to creating ads with Facebook's Ads Manager. So again, I can give it a name. And then placements. Placement type on TikTok. Cool. On the other ones, by the way, when I was exploring some of the other objectives, you had placement options that were outside of TikTok as well. That was interesting. And audience. Demographics, Canada. You don't have the same demographics, by the way, and same targeting capabilities as Facebook. This is still a little more streamlined and a little bit more limited. Just want to give a shout out. I can see Kim, Lynn, Robert, Brian. You guys have all popped on watching. It's good to see you. And feel free to comment as I'm popping through this. If you guys aren't geeking out on this, you don't have to stick around. This is me totally just playing on TikTok, TikTok Ads Manager live, because why not? Interests. Ooh, yeah, it's definitely not nearly as in-depth. Say tech and electronics. And you can see it has the same form of audience radar, audience size radar that Facebook has. So, interesting. So I'm going to leave that. Ooh, what do we have under sports and outdoors? Not a lot. Outdoor equipment or sports equipment. That's it. So let's leave that open. This is an interesting video behavior. Watched end to end, liked, commented, shared. Category. Select time period to include actions from. Ooh, remember how we were talking about attribution windows for Facebook? 28-day click or 7-day click, 28-day view through. This is interesting. And what do we have here? Would you name the ads in a similar way as you would the Facebook funnel? I would assume so. I think so. So the way I name things when it comes to Facebook is that at the campaign is where you choose the objective. So what do you want this whole campaign to achieve? So I usually put something in the name that indicates what I'm trying to do with that campaign. If it's conversions, or if it's traffic to the website, or if it's webinar signups. And then at the ad set level, that's on the Facebook side, normally that's where you choose your targeting. So I put in the name some indication of who I'm targeting and how that's different from my other ad sets. And then the ad level usually have a different image or a different video. So I'll name it very specific to the actual ad creative. So let's go back here. Schedule, run continuously. And then, ooh, nice, bidding optimization. So by default, it's on 6-second video views. or I can go 2-second video views. And from my experience with Facebook ads, this is interesting. So 6-second video views, you all right, small dog? 6-second video views isn't a lot, but that is kind of like a good finish line to get across. If you, for organic Facebook views, if you can get somebody to watch a video for 6 seconds or longer, that means they've paid attention. 10 seconds would be great. Facebook optimizes for 15-second views. They want you to get past 15 seconds. On TikTok, I don't know how much experience you've had on TikTok, but when you're watching, you are just like a scroll monster. You're just like scroll, 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 scroll. If you'll watch a couple seconds of something, like you might not even make it to 2 seconds, and you generally have an idea right away if it's interesting or not, and you scroll on past. So to make it past 6 seconds of somebody watching a video on TikTok, that's good attention span. So it's neat to see how they do this. I know on Facebook we usually leave any type of cost cap or bid cap, cost control. We usually leave those alone unless you really know what you're doing. I'm probably assuming this is going to be the same. So interesting. Show more options. What else we got? Delivery type standard. Your budget will be distributed across the scheduled ads delivery time, or accelerated. Very similar to Facebook again. Standard means if you schedule this to run, say, for 7 days, it'll evenly distribute your ads across the 7 days. If you're going to do accelerated, say you're trying to sell tickets to an event and you wanted it to sell out quickly, and you just want to offload these tickets as fast as you can before the event actually happens, because after the event, the tickets are useless. So that's a situation where you might want to use accelerated to try and offload, make as many sales as quickly as you can. So let's continue and see what else is in here. Oh, it still wants my budget. Let's go lifetime budget. Well, this is interesting, because didn't I set the budget already at the campaign level? Ooh, budget must be at least 620. Well, what if I shorten this up a little bit? Oh yeah, I don't want that going to Feb. Let's say I only wanted that to run for like a week. Okay. Will we get past this? All right, now we're into the ad. The Digital Gal test 1. Single video. And you can add, I can create. What does that do? Display name, add a website URL. The Digital Gal, call to actions. Nice. It's extremely similar. Profile image. So I'm not going to go through and create all of these. Well, like this. I, as legally authorized representative of my company, authorize TikTok, being the entity stipulated as the TikTok ads program terms and its affiliates, to use my company's ads in TikTok for Business Creative Center. The other thing I should point out, this is just on TikTok. There's TikTok for Business, like a business, very similar to Facebook's Business Manager. So we can pop over and take a look at that. I'm not going to finish setting up the ad, but this all looks so very similar to the ad creation process on Facebook. So let's squirrel over here for a second. So up here, Business Center. So I did go ahead and create a business account for the Digital Gal, My Business Center. It's very similar to Facebook Business Manager. So I can open that up, and in here, again, it looks really similar. We have members and partners. We have ad accounts and audiences. Not too much else going on in here, but it has a very similar structure. So you'll be able to add different ad accounts. Like if I want to add an ad account in here, again, quite similar to Facebook, I can request access to somebody else's ad account, or I can transfer ad account. Nice. I don't have any ad accounts set up in here, and I don't have any audiences set up in here. So let's talk audiences. Let's go back over here, and we can go into assets, and we can go into audiences. Yep, that's okay to leave that. And the fact that there are still people hanging out watching this with me shows me that you're as much of a geek as I am, that you want to see this. Create an audience. So we can create a custom audience or create a lookalike audience. What that tells me is that if it's similar naming structures to Facebook, that custom audience is built on data. So it's usually built on pixel data, or it's built on an address list that you're bringing to the table. And notice how it says here, you can create a custom audience by uploading customer files or by using data regarding user engagement and user activity in your app or website. So customer file engagement. So I can create a list of people who saw, clicked, or engaged with your content. Website traffic using the TikTok pixel. App activity. I don't have an app. I'm not sending anybody to download an app, so that would be irrelevant for me. So I could upload a customer file of email addresses in here, which would be interesting. Or website traffic. Page view, 30 days. What's our max here? Same as Facebook, max 180 days. Interesting. So let's go 180 days. And it's automatically updating the audience name, which is nice. Page view, button click, form submission, phone consultation. I would highly assume that this would be very highly tied to that setup process that we were doing with the Pixel. So let's just go just a page view. Confirm. Your audience data has been uploaded. Done. Cool. Neat. I've just created my very first retargeting audience. Creative, what's in here? I haven't been in here yet. You're literally watching me explore this. I did a little bit of it before going live, but this is all pretty new. So create. Let's see what this does. Ooh, there's video templates, smart video soundtrack. So smart soundtrack, match beat to videos, upload images and video clips to generate a video. Video template, slideshow style, video templates, and easy to use video conversion tools. Smart video soundtrack, you can choose from a wide variety of video templates and generate videos based on the images you provide. So what this is telling me is that I don't actually have to go and make a really fancy smart TikTok video. I can just take existing assets that I have and go and use TikTok's tools to create a video. So let's upload images and video clips to generate a video. Let's look at the templates. Ooh, I'm gonna move my face. Let's put me over here so we can see this together. Oh, neat. So we've got the different formats. These are all very holiday. So I can see how you have a static image and static images and have those built into a template. These ones are a little bit boring for TikTok standards, I have to admit, though. So I can't imagine these getting a high volume of conversions. So let's see let's go back and see what the other ones are. Smart video. So I can upload images and video. So let's go upload. And let's throw my logo in there. Digital Gal logo. And will it let me upload more than one? Let's go Swift Kick in the Ads logo. Throw that in there. "10 seconds. Dynamic. Peaceful. Custom soundtrack. Subtitles. Stickers. I can add stickers. Select final frame. Cool. This is neat. And then by clicking confirm, let's generate this video. Let's generate the video and see what it looks like. This is interesting to me. Number of generated videos, 3. So I wonder if I can see what they look like. So it looks like, I wonder if I can change the background. Oh, that's cute. Nice. I know these are really tiny little previews, but it's kind of neat to see. It's neat to see the experience of how they're just taking an image and then doing some fun things with it. I don't know what this means for stickers. Generate video. It's generating more videos for me. This is kind of fun. I could see having some fun with this. Neat. All right, so let's go back. And smart video soundtrack. Upload videos without sound and use smart technology to generate background music. Mind blown. What? Really? Really? You can do that? Oh, it's like it's taking all the hard part of advertising and just doing it for me. Thank you. I can't wait to play with that. I don't have any soundless videos to play with right now for that. Are you sure you want to leave? Yes, I want to leave. Thank you. All right. So that's assets. There's events. That's where we went to set up the event. The website tracking pixel was in there. And then of course, reporting. Lovely, lovely reporting, which I'm curious to see what this is all about. And this actually looks very similar to Facebook's reporting, not Facebook's ads manager, but the Facebook ad reports section is kind of similar in this, how we have dimension and metrics. So dimension is what you want to track. I'll move my face again to the top right. Dimensions are what you want to track. Metrics are how much. What's the quantity of that has taken place? So it looks like you can really go ahead and select campaign name, metrics. I was gonna say there's none to pick from, but there are. How many clicks did I get? How many people reached? And then if I had data in here, I could run that report or schedule it and choose my date range. Oh, you can't see. Sorry, my face is covering that. Let's go bottom right. There you go. So up here you can see when I want that. What am I tracking yesterday, last 7 days, last 30 days, custom date range, schedule it, or just run and export this. And I can give this a name in here. Let's go. So now I have a saved report and zero data. Ooh, so let's go back to the main dashboard. And I think we're coming close to the close of checking out the TikTok Ads Manager back here. And yeah, that's back to the business center over here. What else did I have pulled up? I had some pieces pulled up here because I found them interesting. That was the events manager. That was that. There was an article, automated creative optimization. That's basically what we just did with the video where you're uploading images and having TikTok make it themselves. And I like this. Advantages and features. Forget about A/B testing. You don't need to be a marketing guru or data scientist. Thank God. Save time and effort. Extend your ad's life. And then it walks you through the steps. So this is viewing creative combinations, understanding the performance of creative combinations and best practices. So I've been saving I've been creating a file. I'll put me back up full screen here. I've been creating a file of all sorts of TikTok, what do you call them? TikTok help articles, not help articles, but like TikTok. So before I even got in here, when I was first applying to access TikTok ads, I was pouring through all of the TikTok ad policies. Same way as I do with Facebook, I am a complete geek when it comes to reading through the policies because they change all the time. They don't tell you. And reading through everything with TikTok, the articles are really good. They're very plain English, easy to read, easy to understand, very well laid out. And the advertising network is very thorough. So I'm very, very excited to see. I asked a question on my Facebook page earlier, or on my personal profile earlier today, if any of my friends have tried TikTok advertising yet. And looks like only two of my friends have. And so far, looks like a bit of a lukewarm response. So at $50 a day minimum ad spend, I doubt we're going to see a lot of really small businesses who are inexperienced advertisers flocking onto the platform. I usually see people start with Facebook ads They might run themselves at $5 a day when they're first starting. That's a very conservative, comfortable budget. So to go right into a platform where it's $50 a day, I would suggest not diving onto that platform unless you have a digital user experience that can lead to sales. Because throwing that money away to experiment is a little bit steep for small business owners. But for larger business, the volume of attention span that you can get on TikTok, and if you have the creativity to make some very TikTok-worthy videos that capture attention, I'm sure it's an incredibly lucrative area right now that is not as busy with advertisements and advertisers as on some of the other platforms that have been around for a lot longer. I have been chatting at you for over an hour. I really only intended this to be a shorter one tonight, but that's how it goes. So I'm going to be popping in here and doing this weekly, because why not? So the topics are going to change. It's basically anything to do with ads. So I'm going to chat about ads updates. If you have any questions or topics that you want me to talk about or go in depth with, let me know. I'll go for it. In the meantime, if any of this is of interest to you, I know we kind of meandered around some pretty difficult topics today, lots of difficult terminology, and tried to make sense of it. And then, of course, geeked out on the TikTok ads platform, because why not? If any of this appeals to you, I really, really, really highly encourage you to check out Swift Kick in the Ads. It's a monthly membership. It's $49 a month. Cancel anytime. And we go really in depth into different trainings. It also includes, if you're a brand newbie and just starting out, it includes the 4-week Facebook Ads Bootcamp. The next one of those kicks off in February. It's live training, very similar to this right here. And I teach you everything you need to know about creating ads from the ground up on Facebook. Starting with learning how to use Ads Manager, doing your own audiences and targeting, learning your budget and strategy, and finally how to actually read all the results and the reports. So that's the boot camp. Next one kicks off in Feb. Once you're in, you've got lifetime access. It's included with the Swift Kick in the Ads membership. $49 a month, cancel anytime you want. Even if you came in for 1 month just to take the boot camp and then canceled after, doesn't bother me. I just want to teach you how to do ads at whatever budget makes the most sense for you. And I'd rather you spend all of your hard-earned dollars on creating ads that are actually working for you than paying for expensive courses and not actually getting anywhere. So that's that. Tomorrow we have, in Swift Kick in the Ads, we have a pixel training. So everything that we talked about today about pixels and standard events and custom conversions, we're going deep into that tomorrow in Swift Kick in the Ads for members only. So if you're not a member, go check it out at swiftkickintheads.com. Other than that, thank you to the people who stuck it out and have been geeking out with me for this long. Really appreciate this. And I will see you same time, same place next week. Thank you so much. Catch you later.